so she is a shop girl. But during the pandemic, where there was nothing to do, and we all had to kind of focus inward. And I realized that though completely fictionalized, especially the main character, it was this shop girl's tale, sort of. I gave her my anxiety, which I did not know I had. We were working in a toxic environment.
Yeah, big store.
And it was a store in Times Square. And I thought, well, I need a break from work. And, I just need a vacation. I just, you get burned out. And I went for my physical, and the doctor said, how are mom and dad? Oh, they're good. And how's work? And I proceeded to break down and cry for 10 straight minutes. Heavy, like Grey's Anatomy kind of sobs, like. And he said, okay, well, I think I need to give you a leave of absence. And then, even then, it was probably August, I said, it gets really bad, a couple months off, I said, it gets really bad at the holidays, so maybe you can wait till November to put in the paperwork. And so Erica, I thought, well, every book event, I would say, Erica is a shop girl, but she's not me. And it was like I was distancing myself. And then he wrote the paperwork, and I got the leave, and then I tragically tore my meniscus, so I couldn't do the stairs, or not tragically, again, but I never looked at the diagnosis, and he diagnosed me with lifetime general anxiety disorder, which, after the pandemic, during the pandemic, in retrospect, I always had. When I was less than 2, I thought my parents, who were moving from apartment to apartment, were going to leave me there. And when I was 6, my uncle died, and we found it out in the middle of the night, and now it's really hard to fall asleep. And it's a thing that I don't know what started it, but I know that I've learned how to deal with it a lot better. My nails might not be there, but my hands don't get wrong as much. And then I guess that sort of led you. She said, normal people don't. When she read the book, she was like, but everybody doesn't really feel that way. Like, this is really good. Everybody's going, this is a really good character. And I'm like, I don't know, everybody who works in a store acts like this.
So then through her book, when she finished it and started working on it, we really got to talking about mental health and, anxiety. She has anxiety, I have depression, and we both have seasonal depression. So through the book, we were able to open that discussion for us. And that's like the great thing I love about books and all kinds of music, books, media. So that really opened the door for us to, grow closer. And I really think that's, we were always best friends and everything, but I really think, about 5 years ago the book came, that's when we were like, no, we're sisters. We're sisters for
but that's okay.
Okay, 3 years ago.
Okay.
We're sisters, and her mom is my mom. I call her Mama. So I don't have a great relationship with my biological family, so now I have a sister, and she was an only child, so now she has a sister.
Yeah.
So that's a little bit about us.
And it's sort of insane when you think about, it is, but when you think about the fact that we just assume that we're the standard, and nobody ever says, do you react like this? I don't know who's parents, who's got older parents, but you all just assume if you're a mom, everybody handles motherhood this way. If you're a doctor, everybody needs, 3 months off. Everybody has that thing where they are so scared to talk about mental health and wellness, they don't know if this is the standard, and they just assume, and it's hard. And then you're away from everyone, and you're left alone with yourself for, 6 months because everything's closed.
Yeah. During the pandemic, we both
were lucky.
Really looked inward. We were really blessed. We were able to stay home, and we live with her parents, so we were able to stay at home and hold down the fort while, and take turns going grocery shopping. So we were lucky, and we both really had the chance to look inward and really work on ourselves.
And take turns trying to keep 2 senior citizens from going outside and not understanding that, maybe you're that
inside.
Nobody who is 70 years old thinks they are in great health and still working, thank God, thinks they're the, most at risk. Like the beginning, my mother was going, oh, I'm still working, it's fine. I just go to work. Sometimes I stop at the grocery store. It's like, yeah, so you're going to all the places you could get infected.
Yeah.
But I'm sitting at home wearing my skin off.
But yeah.
We finally got her home.
Exactly, yeah. And then during that time, I decided to really start working on therapy because even this was my sister, she was the closest person to me, and even her, I didn't tell her how bad I would feel. I would think about ending my life sometimes. I was having suicidal thoughts. So, and this is the closest person to me, and we didn't even talk about it. So then I decided we need to talk about that. We both decided we need to talk to each other about how we're feeling. You need that person you can talk to, that you can... Might be.
It's fine.
That's okay.
I'm trying to shut it off.
Sorry. Yeah. No worries, yeah. There's so much technology out there. You never know who's beeping, who's...
Yeah. And with the not talking about things, like you said, I knew that when we were, 15 years old, her parents got divorced, or told them that they were getting divorced, and she took, a nail clipper or something. Well, she didn't
actually
matter,
just
but
my
she tried
own
to
nail.
scratch up her arms until she could hit blood. And then he took her camping, and her father explained that, nothing's going to change, I'm still going to be in your life, yada yada. I thought that made it better. I thought it was a teenage girl overreacting. I knew that my mother had been told by her grandmother that if it wasn't for you, Lauren would be, at that time she was still Lauren would be dead.
Yeah.
And I just thought, well, that's really sweet, and it's grandmother's concern, and, she does have a toxic relationship with her mother and biological sister. Okay, maybe she's just overreacting, but I never knew how dark the thoughts were. I didn't know that those thoughts didn't go away permanently. I didn't know they came back,
Yeah.
And I would nowhere close to that. I'm sorry.
It's okay. I don't want, this is a sharing space. That's what we're here
But
for.
like I said, we would both work. It was the Disney store in Times Square. What are they going to do? What are they going to do?
They're not going to fire us now.
You can't fire me. That's a huge store if you've ever been in there. So they would separate us because they would think, well, you'll
be talking to each
play
other.
around. Meanwhile,
You'd
we
be
had
working.
all life we would travel there, we would travel back. We didn't want to talk to each other at work.
Yeah,
We wanted to
they
get
were.
our jobs done. But around year 3 there, she started speaking in accents.
Yeah, I would do German, but I wasn't having a mental breakdown or anything, but maybe a little bit. I would be like, today I'm going to be Irish, so I would talk to the guests and I would do the Irish accent because I always wanted to be an actress too. So
Because she wanted to be an actress and practice, and she was very good. Don't get me wrong, she was brilliant. I mean, down to people asking where she was, what part of England she had been from, What part of Ireland, and they would usually have her on the first floor, which is tragic because they had no heat, and the door would open and the wind would come in. So she would be down there, and there was this one manager named Joe. And he would come up and he would go, I just love it. She's doing her English accent today. And I would be folding the same t-shirt over and over because I found calming rhythm in the folding. And I would just look at him and go, is she having fun? Because I would tell myself, it's not that bad. I'm overreacting. If the best friend in the whole world is having a fun time here, maybe it's just, I didn't want to work retail. I don't like it up here. I really like working the cash. I'm just having a bad day. I don't think about it when I'm having cash. My friends aren't up here. I've had annoying customers. But it was no, I was actually having a nervous breakdown. I would go in the back and cry. you know, and our friend Brian would too, and we would joke, like, we go into the Elsa dresses and cry.
Yeah, that's our crying spot.
Yeah, this is the corner where we cry because there's some cameras there. We could just pretend like we were doing a check. But
so that was 3 years, and then
that was 3 years.
that's when the doctor said, you have anxiety, you need to leave. And that's when we left. That was, 2017, I think?
Yes.
Yeah.
And then I was like, well, I'm home. I need to rest. I'm going to start writing that novel I was always going to write because I was going to be a writer. And I went to school to be a writer. And unfortunately, that didn't work. I went into journalism, and then the economy kind of broke down, and journalism started to die right around the year we graduated. And then we were all different kinds of things, but I was like, I'm only going to write that book. I'm medically excused from working when I write the book, and it was not the book I thought it was going to write. But it ended up being, I guess, the book that I needed to write.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, it was therapeutic,
yes.
right?
And it's not. It's a fun, like, New York City romp. It's not, this is a book about mental illness, this is about anxiety. It's a very complicated book, like you would see in a movie or a TV show. Well, characters that are three-dimensional. It just happens to be that one character halfway through says, you know, due to my anxiety, this and this. And you go, okay, all those little quirks were probably because of that.
Yeah, and I think that it probably was your way of, like, letting that out, knowing that you had anxiety, so.
It was my brain telling me, like, you really need to get this looked up.
But, yeah, so then, over the last few years, we really started talking about it. I recently started therapy.
I said for sure.
Yeah.
The last couple of years.
So I recently started therapy, and I was always like she said, I was always like, I'm not that bad, everybody goes through this. Sure, everybody, when they get sad, they scratch their skin, they do this. I would self-harm sometimes. It wasn't anything majorly bad, but like little cuts, you know, little scratches and things. Oh, it's not that bad, it's not that bad. So then I decided to start therapy, and I really, really worked on myself, and, you know, I still have bad days where I get really sad, but I don't go to those toxic tools now. I don't harm myself. I'll journal, I'll meditate. This was like the best investment I made. It's called 100 Days to Calm, a journal for finding everyday tranquility. So for 100 days, it has different prompts. And that really helped me to learn about meditating and everything, and therapy. So that was it. So now, like, I feel like I'm at a good place. I've come to realize who I am as a person. I'm non-binary, so but I don't care about like pronouns or anything, or people, like, I decided to start going by Lore instead of Lauren, and for a long time I didn't like accept that part of myself. But it's always who I am.
It's more because of who gave it to you than the actual.
Yeah, like my mother named me Lauren, and then her mom, my mama, I call her mama, always called me Lore. It was like a nickname. So I was like, you know what, I like that. I'm Lore. So, and I really came to like accept that, and I started therapy, and then eventually the therapy wasn't enough, so I did seek a psychiatrist, and I do take medication for my mental health. And I'm very, very open about that too, because that's another thing. Nobody wants to talk about it. And it's like, I'm not that bad, I don't need it. But if you have that available to you, if you have a doctor that will help you, you should do it if you think it'll help, if your doctor thinks it'll help. So.
And some of the tools, because you know it is like an open dialogue now, when you talk to people, you learn your own coping tools. She has the calm book, she does the exercises, and sometimes her psychologist will give her an idea of how to handle something like, you don't like the cold rain, you don't like the snow. Uncomfortable situations happen and obstacles occur, but I am strong enough. That's a phrase that she taught her. And I will sort of hear, she always reads me, or they always read me the tools and I will learn some that I've used myself. I myself am not great at meditating, but I take very long baths, and that's the only time my brain really sort of calms down. But there'll be a tool where she'll say, this was the exercise, and I find myself doing it in the day. I myself do not use medication, but part of my journey to dealing with my anxieties, I am scared about everybody dying all of the time, and I realize I have been for a very long time. But I think that probably goes back to my uncle dying when I was 6. And the way he died was, if this is too much, I'm sorry, but the way he passed away was he had medical malpractice. And they gave him something that interacted with Prozac. And for another condition. And it unfortunately, he did not survive the toxin combination. So I was always very, you're bad, but you're getting better because you're talking to Stacey. And, that's true. The talking to a psychologist definitely was a huge change. And subconsciously learning these tools that you had been learning, I came to accept the fact that, okay, maybe not. Maybe you do need this combination of the two doctors. And let's just say the psychiatrist gave the prescription for Prozac. And I did not feel terrified every single moment of my life. Even though this person who now I know tried to kill himself, tried to harm, end their life, knows that toxic combination can happen, and that I was like, yeah, I trust you. You're not going to do anything wrong. It's irrational to think that it wasn't the pill; it was the combination, and so that was a big step. So it's like, it's kind of strange, but you getting medicated helped me to get better too.
Yeah, and that's the thing of talking about it for sure. Yeah. And the big issue is also with Prozac, and I know a lot of other SSRIs, that's what it's called. That class of drugs you're not supposed to mix alcohol with. So I think what also helps me to acknowledge I need this medication is I don't drink alcohol. A few years ago, before we even really started talking about mental health and everything, I decided I was going to stop drinking because I wouldn't drink a lot, but if we would go out to a party or an event, I would drink and I would be like, oh, I'm not buzzed, I'm going to have another one. And I'd have 3 drinks and then I'd be being a jerk. I'd be mean and fighting people. I was not, they say those fun drunks. I was an angry drunk.
Yeah.
So then,
and if they were free, they were like potato chips.
Yeah.
You had, what was it, 7 screwdrivers when we graduated college?
7 screwdrivers, because it was an open bar, so in like 3 hours. So that was a fun night. So
now that you remember it.
I don't remember much of it. But so then so now that I don't drink, I know, and my father is in AA. He's been recovering from alcohol my whole life. I was 1 year old when he stopped drinking. So I know that, alcoholism runs in my family as well, so I stopped drinking. So I think that also really helps me with the Prozac, because I know, okay, this is a toxic combination. This would be really bad if I drink with it, but also it would just be bad for me in general to drink. Mm-hmm. It makes me a nasty person. I don't like the person I am when I'm yelling at the people I love and being mean and cranky.
And it all kind of came about not by any huge life changes. It was just like, yes, there was the pandemic, but we had started before that these little tiny, like I said about my taking a long bath or running your hands under cold water or taking a break. Some of them are, we walk. Rain, shine, snow, wind. We go for a walk. We try and aim for an hour every night after dinner because the air, the conversation, and the exercise are a good combination. It's not fast. It's like a little
normal pace
thing. And it really bothers us when we can't do that whole hour. And last Saturday, I went flying down the ice storm down 12 marble stairs in front of our house. I was at the doctor all day getting x-rays and bruised that I couldn't walk. So that night we couldn't, and it was like, okay, you know what, we'll just kind of shimmy around in the doctor's office. And, not everybody has the luxury of an hour, but maybe 10 minutes.
Yeah, just
You know,
get yourself moving.
Get some air.
It's great for physical and mental health. Definitely see the benefits of that. Excuse me.
Lock yourself in a room if there's too many people.
Yeah,
you know.
just take that time for yourself, because you're the only person who knows what you're feeling, and you're the only person who can really help yourself. So, I know we're very fortunate. We don't really have a very busy life. We don't have kids and everything. So I know it's harder for some people, but everybody has to go to the bathroom. You go to the bathroom, you can take 5 minutes, do some deep breathing. There's all sorts of things. And I found this in Target for it was $15. So a book like this specific one, or any one, 100 Days to Calm, something that's going to give you prompts. Like one of the visualizations that I always do when I'm getting really depressed is picture yourself, under a waterfall, and you just close your eyes for a few minutes and picture yourself, and you say to yourself, there's nothing I have to do in this moment except be. And it kind of helps you to come back to the moment and forget about everything that's going on.
Just listen to a song.
Yeah.
Maybe
Your favorite song.
We are huge, obviously, we suffered through that store for 3 years just to get discounts. We're huge fans of Disney World. Couldn't really go to Disney World for the last couple of years, but you can play one of the soundtracks. You can put on, Zippity Doo Dah or something. It's quick and it takes you back to that place where you felt safer.
Yeah. It'll
everybody,
remind you.
Everybody has an excuse to think everybody else is busier. Yes, we can sleep later and stay up later, but I don't have a human child, but I have a dog. And if I oversleep too much, he's got to go to the bathroom. And unfortunately, he's very well trained. He won't have an accident on the floor, even in a blizzard. And that's my responsibility to know, or to make sure that I'm home when my mother comes because she has a heavy bag, or think that everybody has those things. We cook for them. I really thought she wasn't going to eat tonight because we said, well, what do you want to eat for dinner? We'll make it a little early before we go. And she was heeing and hawing, and I thought, I'll just make myself something. And I said, oh God, she's just not going to. My mom is an amazing, amazing cook. I'm half Italian, and she's the Italian side, but after a day of work, because she doesn't want to stay home with my father, because he's annoying and retired, she likes going to work. She enjoys it. But, she's 70. When she comes home, I want to be able to cook for her. We want to be able to cook for her. And he's not really independent, so we have to cook for him too. And, before we left, can I eat? What am I doing? We're packing our bags, but what are you going to feed me? He's like a toddler sometimes. So everybody has those things to say, well,
you're responsible.
Someone's more responsible if they're a working mom. Well, not responsible, but someone's busier, they're a working mom. Or, this one's got elderly parents, but they're very sickly. We all have a reason to not take care of ourselves. So.
Yeah. And you shouldn't compare your experience to anyone else's. We all have things that are going to stress us out, that are going to make us sad. And that's why, really the world, if we're just kinder to one another and we ask, how are you doing? You see someone and they look like they're having a rough day. Oh, hey, how are you doing? Just anyone. It doesn't even have to be someone you're close with, someone you work with. Oh, you look like you're down. I like your top. I like, something like that. Just be kind, and kindness starts with yourself, taking time for yourself. So, that's
you can't pour from an empty cup.
Exactly, yes. And I started a YouTube channel where I do little vlogs and everything. So then we decided, well, there's people in the area. We can try and help anyone. So that's what really motivated us to come here and share our story, and both of our stories, and we hope that anybody will get something from it. So if anybody do you have anything else you want to talk about? Or?
Well, I was just going to say, our friend Al.
Oh, yes.
He's such a sweet man that it's such a tragedy that's why I said if you buy the audiobook copy of, not the audiobook, copy. Sorry, I said if you buy this is the paperback copy. It's $20, and if you get it, if you get an ebook copy on say Amazon or whatever, it's $5. If you give me an email and PayPal, I'll send it to you for $4, and I'm gonna give $1 to his foundation that he started in honor of his son, who tragically lost his life to mental illness. And this is the nicest, most open man. He worked with us. I would cry on him on a bad day in the back of the Disney store. And his son had depression, and
Didn't tell anyone.
he didn't tell anyone, or he did not realize it was that bad. And he had an accident that unfortunately was ruled as he did it on purpose, and they really just don't know.
If he was intending to, he was
intending
drinking
or
a
not.
lot, and
But he started this foundation, and he just said to us, you can talk to me. If how I would have listened if he would have just talked to me. But sometimes it's easier to talk to strangers.
yeah.
You don't want to put a burden on the people you love. You don't want them to worry about you constantly. And so that's, maybe it's easier for somebody here to send us an email and
To
say,
share,
like,
yeah,
I'm having a really bad day. Because we don't want to make the people we care about worry about us. So
Exactly, yeah, and just anyone. And through the foundation, it's called the Waffles Foundation because his son has the nickname Waffles. They do a music donation. So if I have an instrument that I'm not using, I can send it to them, and they'll either pay for the shipping or give me a tax credit, and they'll give it to someone who needs. Because Matt was a guitarist and he loved to teach kids music. So he's told us, you guys, I know mental health is so important to you. If you want to reach out and speak about it, so we're like, they live in Florida, so we're like the East Coast, hype guys of the northern hype guys.
Yeah, because the arts are so expressive, they tend to help.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't have access, so that's a little bit about that. And then if anybody has anything they want to ask or share of yourselves, you're definitely welcome to do that.
Anyone see here?
Yeah, this is definitely a safe place. So, I'm not a licensed therapist, but I'm a good listener. I can listen to anything anybody has to say. Or if you want to, like you said, like Melissa said, email. We're gonna get the emails, and if everybody's okay with it, we'll email everybody, and we can tell you some tips and everything.
Send you some links.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
If you could open
Nobody-
up, even if it's you can tell us off. We don't care.
Yeah.
We'll just,
You wasted my time.
So I think that sort of one of the harder aspects I think around mental health is really like the start of the journey.
of course.
I mean, I definitely know I could benefit from therapy in a lot of ways, but like finding a therapist and like putting my foot out, dipping my toe in sort of like the search for one feels really overwhelming to me. Whether it's like, oh God, I'm gonna talk with 20 people that I don't like or that I don't connect with, and then I've wasted my time or whatever. So like, I'm just curious, as people that are, thank you so much for coming in, but as people that are so open about your journey with mental health, like, what was your experience getting started to find like people that you really connected with, that you really felt helped you, online, in person, like whatever? I just would be curious.
I did more of the self, and how we both started was I started with the whole like self-help learning tools online and things. I don't personally talk to a therapist. Like I said, I just steal her tools. But I know that it is hard.
Oh yeah.
And, there's that thing of, well, you can do it for free with a priest or a rabbi or reverend, and they'll listen, and you get it for free, and they're listening to that, but you don't really know if it's confidential and things like that, and you have to find the time in your day, and I think you just looked on the insurance and left out.
Yeah, so it was
reviews.
it did feel overwhelming, but I went to my insurance and I called about the mental health, and I felt like overwhelmed because I felt like I had to prove that I had depression. Like they ask you all these questions, so it could be uncomfortable, it could be difficult, but it's definitely worth it. So I answered all these questions, like have I ever self-harmed, have I thought of self-harming, all that. And I think I realized afterwards that's like to help me, because it's going to help them figure out who would be best for me. So they gave me the names of a few people, and I like researched them, and I found one that I liked. Her name is Stacy Rosenberg. She's a licensed psychologist and life coach, and her approach has been so great for me. But I do know there are other people who have, that person was cold, I didn't like that person, and so I know it's really difficult, but it really is worth it. You have to find someone you can talk to. If it's a friend, if it's an online community, if it's like maybe you crochet, maybe find people in your neighborhood that crochet too. You can talk and share that activity, and then just like talk to each other too, because it can be difficult, but it's so worth it.
And I think like reviews always help, but it's not ideal. You can't always find them because between insurance and time restrictions and things. But and it's the worst thing in the world to do trial and error with, but
that's unfortunately,
it's like any other health. If you broke something and you went to an orthopedist and you didn't like what they had to say, you get a second opinion.
Yeah.
When she started with, it also kind of helps to have somebody kicking your ass into doing it.
Yeah, pushing you, motivating you, that person you could lean on.
Like, you're doing the thing that she told you to not do kind of conversations. But when Laura started with the psychiatrist, there has to be a quick kind of conversation where to make sure everything's on the up and up, even though there's a longer conversation with the therapist. Mm-hmm. So the psychiatrist, at first, she said, I don't really know if I like it because once a month?
Yeah, once a month I speak to him.
I don't think he's listening because he asked me all the same questions last time. And I thought, well, maybe, he's having a bad day, he forgot. But in my head, I started to get an idea, and then the third time, same questions every time. I said, he's making sure the answers don't change.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So if they seem cold, maybe try and figure out why. Or if they seem too indulgent, try and figure out why.
Yeah, everybody has, doctors, psychiatrists.
And you have to click.
They have a different approach, so it really is, it's about finding that right person for you, and it can be difficult, but it's definitely worth it, because, you only get one life, and you want to live it for yourself to the fullest, that you can be happy and the people around you can be happy. I definitely see improvement even in my relationship with my her mom, Since I've started working on myself, I'm like better to get along with other people, because I would be like lashing out and taking everything personal, like, oh, you're mad at me. No, I just came home from work and I'm tired. Yeah. So, yeah, but it's definitely worth it, and it can be hard. And like I said, we're always here. We can email, we can text. We'll start with email, and then if anybody wants, we can text and everything, because I don't ever want anyone to go through what Al goes through. He's like family. He's one of those people you meet and they like become family. And just to like know that he goes through this heartache every day. He doesn't have his son. So if I can save someone from that by talking and sharing my story, that's why we do it. And that's why you started writing for your own mind.
And I don't even want you to go through what you've gone through, because like she had a very bad, like it's very cliche, but she had a very bad childhood.
Yeah,
and
it was a toxic relationship.
It was very like, and more,
yeah.
Like you are her sister,
yeah.
And it was mentally abuse. It was mental abuse, and sometimes there'll be a setback where it's basically you were taught that you didn't deserve to be loved for 14 years of your life. That's very hard by 2 of the 3 members of your core family to just every day be like, you're the person who can fluff your sister's hair.
Yeah.
You can, and to think, again, that's normal. That even now, 20 years on, there'll be a setback in her mental journey, and it'll be, I'm doing really well, I don't need the medication anymore.
Yeah,
We
so
know you're
even
doing well
now-
because of the medication, or things are just, the big one is the flip out before the walk.
Yeah.
Finding, oh, it's rainy, let's not do it. Like, we do it, but sometimes it's a harder struggle. And I'll just look and think, like, it's just so sad that you don't, even now, like, that this still comes back to you. So if anybody else has that thing where they always feel like they don't deserve happiness or less than, like, if we could help in any little way to make that thought, like, of course I deserve to be happy.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's not, some things you compromise on, like you want a blue couch, your husband wants a red couch, things like that, but you don't compromise on things that are, I hate cats. I won't live with a cat. You know what I mean? There's a lot of things, I was attacked by them, I'm allergic to them, I don't need to. I know that if I were to get married, I would never be able to have a cat. But I would be able to compromise on the size of a dog or the house, things like that. But if something is so important that you need it to be happy, small or large, and you don't feel like you deserve it, that's something you should compromise, you do.
Yeah.
So if that's just
Yeah, you deserve to be happy, and you can put yourself first, and you can put your foot down. I don't really talk to my biological mother that often, and I have, like it was said at the beginning, I have a YouTube page where I share my stories and everything. And I've been very open on that page I've made some videos about my relationship with my mother. And at first I was like, oh, I should hold that back because if it gets back to her and she'll be mad at me. But then I said to myself, no, this is my truth. I'm going to speak my truth so it can help someone else. And she hasn't, it really is true. My sister is the most important person to her. So she hasn't even looked at my YouTube page. And maybe she'll look at this and she'll see this, but I can't help, how she's going to react. This is how I feel.
And it's not why you're doing it.
And it's not why I'm doing it. I'm not doing it to badmouth her. I know that she has her own issues, and I understand. I've taken care of kids before. I've been a nanny, a babysitter, so I understand your relationship with every child is different. But it was lacking. I was lacking that attention, and I always came second in everything. So, and that's her for her own reasons, and that's her mental health journey, and I can't control her. I can only control mine. So I distanced myself, and now I'm in a better place. We had a gathering. It was a New Year's Eve party with some friends and family, and it was a small gathering. Everyone was we said, well, we'll do the testing and everything. And the best compliment I got there was, you look happy. And I said, I am happy. Because everyone was saying, well, what have you been doing? We haven't seen you in 2 years. And I said, well, really, I've been working on myself, and I am a person that I like. I like me, and I'm happy. So.
And it's it's the little things you don't realize. If it makes you happy, it makes you comfortable, and it's not going to hurt other people, and it's not completely and utterly socially unacceptable, like running around naked or something. If other people don't like it, who cares? And it was the tiniest thing today leaving when we were getting dressed, and I put on, sorry.
No.
You made her nervous. No, I'm joking.
Yeah. I was debating, should I wear this sweater or should I wear and jeans, or should I wear another shirt and a skirt? And she said, well, I just want you to know that I'm wearing a sweatshirt and I like it and I'm comfortable and it makes me feel good. So I don't want us to look vastly different. But that's the thing. If I wanted to come in a ball gown because that's how
That's
I
what
feel,
you want. Yeah. Who cares?
On my bad days, or if I'm nervous, I like to put on mascara. It's like a superhero super me. I like makeup. You may never wear another stitch of makeup again. I like, as a girl or as a certain age or things like that, you're supposed to hit this societal standard. Your favorite color should be pink. You should have long hair, or don't don't like superheroes because you're a girl. And, you know, I very much loved superheroes growing up, still do. And when my father said that he was gonna, my parents sat me down when I was a tiny little girl, 5 years old, and our schedule was gonna be a little different. Daddy was gonna be home a little bit more because Mommy was gonna go to work, because Daddy unfortunately had a cutback at work and was unemployed for a while, so he was gonna be working part-time. And my response to the fact that the income change was happening wasn't, do we have to move? Can we keep the dog? It was, am I gonna have to sell my dresses? So I was very much a girly girl and liked X-Men. It doesn't matter. If it makes you happy and it's not gonna hurt anyone else, do it.
Exactly, yeah. And I for a long time didn't want to identify as non-binary because I was like, well, that's not a thing. You're either a boy or a girl. You're not non-binary. What is that? And then I found some other people who felt the same way and everything. And then I realized, well, it is, I liked to wear dresses and I liked to play sports. And I've kind of always been in the middle. So I'm a non-binary person. But I'm not, I don't care about pronouns or anything. And that's another reason why I want to go by Lore, because this is who I am. I'm Lore. I'm non-binary. I'm 35 years old. And this is me. And if anybody else has a problem with it, well, too bad. That's your problem, not my problem.
Yeah, and it's not just because I liked dresses and I liked sports too, but at the same time, it's that identity of if someone, when I was little, even a teenager, if we went somewhere and someone thought that was my brother, I would have been like, oh my god, I'm so sorry they thought that. Because, there was a ponytail or something, it would be like, oh, I don't care if somebody thinks I'm a boy, whereas I would be like, oh my god, do I look manly? I was very heavy. I lost a lot of weight due to a torn meniscus, rehab, and finding out I had celiac disease, and the mental health journey of not eating my feelings, but I was very heavy. And I would always say, the only things I like about myself are my beautiful long blonde hair, I have it really long, and I have really nice boobs. And then I lost 80 pounds, and I lost the boobs. I went from a C to an A. But I still like who I am, because I still look like a girl. But when you think about the image of, beauty, you think of Marilyn Monroe. Well, she had the blonde hair and she had the boobs. And so I'm very much I'm a girl, but I want to play baseball.
Okay.
But whereas you were very much
you
were just kind of in between.
Yeah, I liked to wear, I made communion, I liked my communion dress, but then I couldn't wait to get out of it and go play with my friends. So, and I myself, I was very judgmental of that when I would hear other people, I'm non-binary, my pronoun is they, and I would be like, oh, come on, that's not a real thing. But, it is a real thing, and that's a part of my mental health journey too. So, coming to self-acceptance, self-love. And I know
your big sister.
Exactly, I'm still her big sister.
No, I said it's okay that you weren't your big sister who was very much into boys.
Yeah, and she was always girly and everything. I think that was part of it too. But this is who I am. This is me, and I like me. So you just really have to, and that's what I want for everyone that I talk to, everyone that watches my YouTube videos, everyone that I talk to. I want you to like yourself, and because you're the person you spend the most time with. You're in your head. Other people don't know what you're thinking.
So as you said earlier, you can't pour from an empty glass.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
You literally can't. You have to make sure that you're full before, you can do anything even for yourself.
Exactly.
But it's I feel nowadays, I guess from the teenage years up until late 30s, even, it doesn't matter, older, society perceives this image or this whole lifestyle that you have, people think that you have to live or be a certain way or look a certain way. Do you know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So I think that has a huge impact
and
on
it's
women.
even younger.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
It's
trickled down the ladder where it's making it worse. You know what I mean?
Of course.
So I just feel everybody needs to accept themselves before.
Definitely.
There was a little girl we used to nanny, and she still is. She's very much, but she's not really a little girl anymore. And she moved
Teenager,
away when she was 3. and now she's like 13. And she puts pictures on Instagram and things, and when you see her, I'm like, she's a woman. She's got the makeup, she's got the clothes, and the only thing is, like, I do know that Grace is actually not doing that because society is telling her. It is because when she was 2 years old, she would get caught trying to wear the heels, and she would cry when you wouldn't give her your lipstick. So she always wanted to be that girl. But I'm sure a lot of her friends aren't. And I'm sure there's a lot of 9-year-olds.
Pressure.
I was, I was a heavy child. It's not easy when you can't wear skinny jeans. Because all of your friends are. It's not easy when you are 7 and Mark Thomas calls you fat.
Call him out. The full name.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of Mark Thomases.
Yeah.
And I remember that. And then when we were like 15, we were friends and I never told him, but I always knew. I was like, does he still think I'm fat? I've lost weight. Why does it matter?
You have to take care of yourself and love yourself.
And it is not easy being in your 30s and not being sure if you want kids.
Especially when you see everyone else, like all your friends, people you went to school with, having kids. And like, not everyone has to have, there are different ways to live. I used to think that I didn't want kids, and now I'm thinking, okay, maybe I do want to have a child.
I think maybe you thought maybe you didn't deserve them.
Exactly.
Or that you didn't want to screw them up.
Yeah, so there's no right or wrong way to live. It's your life. Live it for yourself. So, all right, and that's it. Well, thank you. If anybody has any other questions or anything, and we're definitely.
Is there much of a difference between anxiety and depression?
There can be small differences,
There's
but
a lot of overlap.
I'm sorry?
There's a lot of overlap. But I find in my own journey that they're both sort of sad, but anxiety is more the future. It's the bad thing that's gonna happen.
You keep preparing yourself for what's.
Yeah, and it's probably based on the past as much as, depression is, whereas depression seems to be more of this is bad, this is sad, but I think there's a lot of overlap.
there is definitely there's similarities, and it's like we've talked about how we feel, and it'll be like I do that too and everything. But it's not. I'm not like. I don't worry like, oh my God, the person I love is gonna die. Like she'll be sitting there and then thinking like, Mom coughed. She's gonna. Could she die? She's gonna die one day. What am I gonna do? And it's like the future planning. Whereas I'm just like, well, I'll be devastated. I'll be sad, and I get into a place where I'm like, I feel so sad, and I'm like, I can't take feeling this anymore. I don't want to feel this way. And I'm so very lucky that I have Alyssa, because she helps me and she says, no, you're just having a rough patch. You can get through this and you have the tools and everything. But I've had, I lay on the floor and I don't want to get up. And then finally something
I had to
snapped.
tackle a hammer out of her hands one day, and I have to tell you, she was gonna beat.
I was like,
herself.
I'm gonna hit the bad thoughts out of my head. That's what I was thinking.
I am not strong. I am weak. I have a 20-pound dog, and if he needs extended carrying, it's rough on me. I have so to chase someone down and pull a hammer was like that thing when people lift cars. But I guess the simplified version would be depression seems more like it'll never get better and it's not worth it. And anxiety is it'll just it's good now, but when won't it be? I have a perfectly healthy dog, but I've had other dogs, and I know, and one of them's on the mantle, or when I was in, I think it was a senior in high school, back to Disney World, for no reason at all. And the first time I went to Disney World was a month before my uncle died, so I do see the weird connection of Disney World is so perfect because it's the last wonderful family holiday I had before my life was altered forever. So it was for no reason at all. We were watching the fireworks show, and I had the thought so very clearly with my perfectly healthy whole family there. What if, how many more trips to Disney World do I have with these people? You know, what if the unknown happens? And it's hard to learn because you really don't know. Like, you literally can go outside and fall down long marble ice steps. You know, you saw the ice melt, you were holding the banister, but you still fell. Yeah. Anxiety, I guess, is about living in the face of knowing something bad's going to happen, and depression is more learning that the good is worth those bad.
Yeah, definitely. Like, my good days are, I want to be here. I want to keep going. I've got a lot more to do in my life. So that's what I tell myself. Like, it feels bad right now, but tomorrow's a new day. Tomorrow will be better. So they're different, but there definitely are similarities. So
it's like a meal. Dinner was good, but dessert was kind of bad. So later maybe I'll have like a piece of cake.
Yeah.
You don't know what tomorrow brings, and that's what depression needs to learn, and anxiety needs to unlearn.
Yeah.
Like, everything's good now, but someone might die.
Yeah. So yeah, thank you for the question. Yeah, that's again our personal experience, but through talking to other friends and everything, we've heard a lot of people feel similar about depression and anxiety. So, yeah. Anybody else have anything, or anyone want to share some things that work for you, or some things you're going through? Like I said, I'm a good listener. I can listen.
Or how you got through something.
Yeah. No. Yeah. I think it's hard also in a big group. People don't want to, but so yeah, definitely. If we'll email everyone, and if you guys want to reach out to us, you can reach out, and maybe we'll do this again. It was really fun. We're invited. I'm so grateful for this opportunity to just talk and share, our journeys and how we got to where we are.
And we're still going.
Yep, still going strong.
Thank you.
Good job, Lauren.
You're welcome. Thank you for having us. And if anybody
Thank you all for showing up.
Yes, thank you for showing up. I was like, and she was like, nobody's gonna come. It's gonna be embarrassing. And that's the anxiety.
There was a bad day with the depression last week or something, right after it had been confirmed. I'm a fraud. I don't want to talk to anyone.
I'm not going to be able to help anyone.
I can't help anyone because these medication aren't worth it. I still have bad days. This isn't good enough. Having on a scale from 1 to 5, 4 or 5 day, most of the days just wasn't good enough. And I'm like, but maybe it's just because of the rain, and you got up late, and you had a bad experience, and you heard a story about your mother. Things like that, where it's like, right now I understand it feels like you're drowning in the ocean, but there's just an undertow.
Yeah. And then if anyone also is interested, you guys can just, if you want to look at it, pass around. This is my personal copy.
I was just about to ask, do you have a Venmo? What is that?
I have PayPal.
PayPal?
I have a PayPal.
Yeah, take it and we can,
Yeah. We have some copies here, so.
I have 5 copies here, and then obviously if PayPal, they send the email to you from where it comes from, and then I could email the $4 ebook.
Yeah.
And then I will have the 3, and then I will give $1 to the Waffles Foundation.
The Waffles Foundation, yeah.
Because I can't say enough, how wonderful Al has been for somebody who worries all the time. It's really kind of scary to think why was he able to help me, but he didn't, his son didn't think to go to him.
Yeah.
So, but he's a wonderful man, and they're a wonderful family. And you don't want bad things to happen to anyone, but you just really when they're nice. Sometimes there are people that you go, well, I'm not sorry, you slipped.
Yeah.
But that's.
So yeah, and then, anyone can come up and look at it if you want to pass around the book and look at it. And then, like I said, we'll definitely email. And then if we're emailing you and you're like, stop, just tell us, we'll stop. Because we really just both want to help people. And that was the goal. So I feel like everyone really seemed to take in what we said, and
It's not boring.
yeah, we're entertaining at least.
Well done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to our long journey.
I just wanted to say, sorry, before I
Oh,
go,
sure, sure.
my name is Serena, whoever doesn't know me. I'm the social services coordinator here. And this group was set up, the women's group, it was thought out by Lisa, originally as a mother's group. We're kind of hoping to branch out to a mother's group eventually, if we get a good show numbers of moms. But the women's group is just like these kind of talks,